Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. Happy holidays from the Steelers and KDK TV. I'm Bob Pompiani, along with Missy Matthews. We'll be here shortly. It's a Tomlin Tuesday, and the Steelers delivered an early holiday gift to Steeler Nation last night with a 28-15 win over Miami to eliminate the Dolphins. And now the Steelers will have a big test coming up next Sunday, 425 KDK, against the 8-6 Detroit Lions, who are on the outside looking in. They'll be a desperate football team, but just about everybody in the NFL is desperate at this time. Mike Tomlin is set to address the media after that big win last night, so let's head to the head coach.
Good afternoon. As always, I'll start with a quick roundup on our last performance from last night. As I said after the game, I thought we had a clear path to engineering victory. Certainly they had established a certain personality during their 4-game win streak. A major component of that was their run game, as I mentioned. They had averaged about 192 a game over the previous 5 games, and so certainly we had to minimize that, but it's just more than just stopping the run on specific downs per se. It's a collective approach, and I thought we did a nice job of minimizing that mode of producing victory for them, not only with the way that we played the run, but with the way we ran the ball offensively, the way we possessed the ball offensively. Us being aggressive on 4th down plays, particularly early on, was a strategic component of minimizing their run. Us getting off on 3rd down was a major component defensively of us minimizing their run. They weren't able to get a new set of downs very often and establish a rhythm that it produced the 192 per game. And certainly we thought if we could do that, we would position ourselves to maybe take the ball away. Had a big takeaway early on from Samuel, and certainly had other opportunities that didn't come to fruition throughout. We needed to take care of the football, and we certainly did that. It wasn't easy sledding there, particularly early, but as we found our rhythm and we were able to get some things going and produce some touchdowns. As the road gets narrow, you got to score touchdowns. Field goals don't necessarily get you out of stadiums, particularly as you're battling for playoff position and people are in the same mentality doing similar things. And so I thought our ability to score touchdowns in the red area was big, was a major component of it as well. Can't say enough about the many contributions that we got from people who had an opportunity to have expanded roles. As I often say, though, there's a fine line between being a Pro Bowler and a backup in this business. I just see it through that lens. These guys are at the tip top of the food chain in terms of what they do, and usually one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity, and there were certainly examples worthy of recognition. We talked a lot about it last night. Can't say enough about Dylan and what he was able to do for us at left tackle, for example. Kenny Gainwell did an awesome job, like he always does when called upon in an expanded role. Asante getting an opportunity to start and playing a lot of football for us. Guys like Herbig, although he's been called upon a lot in the past and certainly has delivered. Guys like he and Jack Sawyer had opportunities to play expanded roles as well. But it comes with this time of year. There's an attrition element to our game. That's why we take everyone's readiness very seriously because we have to call on that again moving forward. Everyone does. And so it's important that you fortify your depths with capable people. We've worked to do that during the course of our journey and to continue to get those guys ready because you know it's coming. And so it's just good to see some of that happen. We certainly will have some more challenges, man, as we lean in on this week regarding some of those things. Isaac Seumalo got hurt last night. I don't know what his status is as I stand here today, but I would imagine he's certainly going to be limited at the early portions of the week, and we'll see where it leads us. The same thing could be said for Herbig with his hamstring. We'll see where it leads us. We had some guys that missed the previous game or games and are angling toward getting back. Probably the most favorable of those is Derek Harmon. He was probably healthy enough to play at the very end of last week, but as a young guy with limited rep opportunities, I didn't think it would be fair to him or for us to put him in uniform. And so he'll have an opportunity to get a complete week's work, get an opportunity to go back to his hometown and play some football. Excited about getting him back. He certainly has been an asset to us, particularly in terms of defending and stopping the run and anticipating what we're going to face this week, man. That'll be big. Some other guys who are working their way back. Pete's still in the protocol, so we'll let the protocol be our guide in terms of his availability. James Pierre was limited with a calf last week. We'll see where that leads us. I got no new news on TJ. I'm sure I will a little later in the week, but I hadn't heard any new updates regarding his availability or what that looks like as he starts to work his way back to us this week. And so no real news there. I'm certain that we have a lot of bumps and bruises associated with play. That's the nature of this thing. We'll work hard and smart, and sometimes that means being inclusive. And so we probably got a high-intensity walkthrough on our menu tomorrow in an effort to have as many people participate as we can, as opposed to running and practicing. But again, that's not outside the ordinary this time of year. You do what you need to do in an effort to get the collective ready and also get them to the stadium in as good a physical condition as you can get them as well. You certainly hope that there's a cumulative effect of the daily work that we've had over the course of this journey that could be an asset to us, that we can summons up when we get pressed on a short week like this week. Now I'll give some time and attention to the Detroit Lions. Man, I just got a lot of respect for this group and how they go about their business. They're a competitive group. They're a physical group in all three phases. They're aggressive not only in play but schematically. Got to tip my cap to Coach Campbell and company for that. You see their personality on tape. I'll start first on defense. They've certainly absorbed a lot of attrition in recent weeks, particularly in the secondary, first at corner and then more recently at safety. But they've also done some things in terms of acquiring talent to help fortify those depths, some NFL players, some veterans. Much like we went out and acquired Pep and Doug and others, Asante, that have helped us out. More recently, they've acquired KZ, a former Steeler, that I'm sure is chopping at the bit to be a contributor to them. Arthur Millette, also a former Steeler. And so what they've put on tape and who they've played on tape in recent weeks might not necessarily be who they play in this game. And so we got a lot of respect for that. They're aggressive schematically. They play a lot of man-to-man. They get after you with a variety of blitz packages and so forth. Can't say enough about their linebacker tandem, very versatile. They play in all circumstances. Did a lot of research on Jack Campbell. We got a lot of Iowa guys in our program and, got a lot of respect for who he is as a football man and how he plays and his relationship with the game and his natural leadership skills. That was very evident going to Iowa and participating in their pro day efforts and getting to know those guys, taking them to dinner. He is certainly a natural leader and football player and man, and it appears from the outside that those characteristics have transferred to the professional level, and he's doing similar things for the Lions that he did at the University of Iowa. Certainly we got our hands full up front, minimizing their rush, starting first and foremost with Aiden. He is elite. He's a game wrecker. He just is. He's a top quality rusher. He's very aware in terms of ball aware, ball searching. His ability to produce fumbles and hunt the ball as he hunts the quarterback speaks for itself. He's got very good hand-eye coordination and fine motor skills for a big man. That was on display in his interception of that screen last week. But he's not a one-man gang. Muhammad is having a breakout year for him as a rushman. Davenport, obviously, is a former first-rounder, and New Orleans Saints is also a component of their collective. They got DJ Reader up front, a veteran run stopper, and so certainly they have a bunch of capable men, and I'm sure they're going to be chopping at the bit to get back on the winning track this week, and we just got respect for that as competitors. On the offensive side of the ball, man, they take very good care of the football. And it starts first with Goff. I think he's only thrown 5 interceptions on the season. And you couple that with his quick decision making, he's got to have one of the top times to throw in football. He makes good and quick decisions. He certainly has some capable eligibles to distribute the ball to. St. Brown and Williams, man, are a formidable tandem. They also have some other guys that are playing extremely well in a lesser role in terms of volume or targets, but are playmakers nonetheless. It's not only about rushing the passer. If you're trying to minimize a guy like Goff who's functioning in the ways that he's functioning, he's completing 70% of his passes. He's not throwing the ball to the other team. We better utilize a lot of schematic strategies in terms of coverage makeups, man, zone, simulation pressures. We better work the bat passes, et cetera. It's not only about the rush in terms of getting him and them off rhythm. We better fight for each and every incompletion. And so that's our mindset as we lean in on the week. You couple that with the top-notch running game and that formidable run tandem that they have. We got a big week for us in terms of preparing for those guys. In terms of their running game, can't say enough about the demeanor of their collective. Certainly, I know their offensive line coach and run game coordinator, Hank Fraley, and I remember him as a player. They play as a collective the way he played. He has built that unit in his image. It is a gritty group. They finish. They take pride in terms of winning the line of scrimmage and waging the war of attrition in the run game. And so we'll be challenged in a big way in that regard. But again, it's December. The road's getting narrow. Such is life in the big show, man. And we're all happy, obviously, to be a component of that. But we'll narrow our focus, man, and understand that we pay respect for this big game by living these moments day to day and having great days. It started for us early this morning or late last night, depending on your perspective as a staff. And it'll continue with the guys as they get into the building tomorrow in the effort to move forward towards Sunday. I'll pause and open up for questions.
Mike, you've mentioned at this time of year, games like this are why you were interested in bringing in Aaron Rodgers. He has said kind of much the same thing. Have you noticed anything palpable about him or anything detectable in these last couple of games? Any difference in how he prepares or plays or the look in his eye, anything like that?
No, nothing relative to his process or his prep process. But it's just value that you can measure, value that you can't measure, and having a guy that's been there and done that. It benefits him. It benefits us as a collective. I think it raises the tide for the collective. It's just certain conversations and things that you don't even worry about. You know, we had a significant possession down late in that game, and he affords us an opportunity to run a misdirection pass, and you don't even have to tell him, hey, throw an incompletion or take a sack because we want the clock running. He knows that. He's lived that life. And so that's just one small example, but there's countless examples of benefits of having a guy with his level of experience, the quality of that experience, particularly this time of year as the road gets narrow.
After the game, Aaron was talking about some of the so-called cast-offs that made significant impacts for you. What have you learned over the years about what it takes to position midseason additions for success, and why has this specific group been able to make an impact quickly?
You know, I'm never surprised by that, to be honest with you. That's why we have cliches like the standard is the standard. One man's misfortune is another man's opportunity. It's not if, it's when, as it pertains to injury in our business. And so if you're in a position like mine, you better work your tail off to ready each and every man that's a part of the program and have that urgency daily. And I certainly do, and we do as a staff. But those are the guys that are deserving of the credit. I'll never ask guys to be patient. I'll ask them to work while they wait. And a lot of guys have done that. And we get performances like many of them displayed. It's just evidence that they have. And certainly some of them are going to get additional opportunities to do so, and maybe some new guys are going to get opportunities to do so as we move forward. That's just the nature of this thing. I think your ability to adapt and adjust and pivot often defines as a collective, and certainly we've had some opportunities to do so and have had some success at times, and we better keep digging because I just been on enough of these journeys. I know it's a component of it.
Mike, when you guys signed Kenny G. Did you envision him being a higher volume guy than he was in Philly?
Absolutely. You know, Saquon casts a pretty large shadow, but we played that football team, and Kenny made some significant plays in that game against us, converting third downs early in that game that produced scoring drives. I think he converted 3 third downs that transferred to 17 points in the midst of that game. He also covered kicks in that game we played against him. He returns kicks, and so, you know, what we saw was a guy that was a football player first, that had a nice skill set to do a lot of things, and you know, had some upside because of the ridiculous shadow that Saquon cast. So I don't know that any of us are surprised by what he's doing or by what he's capable of, because we saw it firsthand in stadium as an opponent.
Two areas where you guys have gotten a lot better in the last 2 weeks. Coming out of the locker room in the third quarter, you've been good in both the third quarters against against Baltimore in this past game, against Miami. What have you done better there, do you think? And what else did you do better in this game when it came to possessing the ball?
You know, I don't know that you can pinpoint a specific thing that you do better. I know that you better just keep working. You know, you don't always get the results that you desire immediately when you have an agenda, but if you believe in the agenda, you keep pounding away, and it might just be that result that we're finally breaking through in some areas that are producing the outcomes. But we might have been in the right neighborhood, knocking on the right doors for an extended period of time. I just think that's the challenge of decision making and strategy in this business. Sometimes solutions come to you in an instant, and you see the fruit of that instantly. Sometimes your will and your commitment gets tested because you don't necessarily get what you're looking for immediately. We haven't done anything significantly different in the last 2 weeks in that area that we hadn't been working on, but certainly I agree with you. It's been moving in the right direction of late.
Like after the Bills game, Aaron kind of publicly challenged the pass catchers just to get on the same page, show up to things. The 2 weeks since, the offense has been clicking, the pass catchers' pass game has been a little bit more seamless. Is that a result of Aaron kind of challenging this group?
I don't know the challenge that you speak of, and so I wouldn't be the guy to speak to that. I'm sure you'll get an opportunity to speak to him in an open locker room.
Mike, you mentioned the running backs earlier. It seems like Gibbs and Montgomery complement each other really well. What makes them so dynamic, and what do you think the keys are going to be to try to slow them down?
You know, I think, first of all, they're talented as individuals. They're talented runners, both guys. They certainly have a different skill set. Gibbs having the top end speed that he does, and Montgomery having the pick and vision and interior running talents that he does. And so they complement each other very well, but it's almost disrespectful to not acknowledge their talents as individuals. And I think any tandem that's really good, I think, has a couple of individuals in it that can do it, and they certainly can and do. They need no endorsement from me. I think they, as a collective, they got 21 rushing touchdowns this year. And so we better come, and we better come ready.
You guys have used more 11 personnel the last two weeks on offense. Was that something that Aaron Rodgers suggested? And what have you guys seen come from that as far as success-wise to open things up?
You know, sometimes it's just based on matchup. What's the best matchup for us relative to opponents? The Dolphins, for example, don't have a lot of depth at corner. Minka plays corner or nickel for them. And so it was probably more advantageous for us to play in 3 wide receiver sets and get Minka out of a more natural position into a less natural position. And so there's a lot of variables into that discussion and from a strategic standpoint, and we answer those and formulate those plans week in and week out. And so they're subject to change.
You elevated MVS from the practice squad.
I'm sorry?
You elevated or signed MVS to the active roster. What have you kind of seen and learned about him over the last month or so that he's been in the building?
You know, he certainly is a talented guy. He can run. For a taller guy, he can get in and out of break points, and he's got some NFL playmaking experience that's been an asset to us.
Has TJ been in the facility yet, and whether or not he can be cleared to practice? Do you expect him to be at practice this week?
I don't know if he's been in the facility yet because I've been in the dark room in the back. He might be in the facility as we speak, and so I don't have a lot of the answers to that, and I was just trying to be transparent when I said I didn't have any new information as I stood here today.
We have you in this setting as opposed to breathing down your neck after practice about this, but is there anything more you can tell us about what you learned about the dry needling technique, or how that might continue or not continue with your team?
I have no new information regarding that, none whatsoever.
How's Jack Sawyer progressed, and if you need to lean on him in a tough matchup against Penny Sewell, what would that be like?
You know, Jack is doing what a lot of young quality defenders do. They make the best with what you ask them to do, and they work in all areas and get better. And usually those that are playmakers in special teams eventually become playmakers on defense. And he certainly has been that for us. He's made some plays on teams. He made some plays on teams last night. And so I'm never surprised when they transfer that playmaking to the defensive side when they get more opportunities to do so. He's had some opportunities this year and has made some plays, has had a sack, has had an interception. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he displays that readiness, if he gets an expanded role opportunity this week.
Do you have to alter how you prepare defensively when you face a coach that's as aggressive on fourth down as Campbell is?
No, not really. You know, we live it down in and down out. You don't get an opportunity to win fourth down until you win third down. And so that's the spirit in which we go about it.
Mike, is the tush-push or Steeler shove, whatever you want to call it, with Connor become more reliable for you guys, and how does that kind of impact your situational decision-making?
I think it's been reliable the whole time we've done it. Maybe we've only failed once in Chicago. It just speaks to the versatility that we have in the tight end room. We've talked a lot about it. We got a deep and diverse tight end group. Darnell is a point of attack run blocker. Jonnu is good run after. You saw that in a lot of ways. We threw him a screen. We pitched him a toss. Muth is a zone killer. You saw that last night. And Connor's a jack of all trades. He's a four-phase special teamer. He does things like that for us. And so I think that's just more of a reflective of the deep and diverse group that we have at that position.
Patrick Lee talked about the collective guys committing to their jobs, not trying to jump out and do other people's roles, and that trust that's been forming. How do you, as a head coach, try to set a stage to fix those kind of problems when at least a popcorn can come from any direction?
You know, I think a component of it is continuity. And when you're infusing new people in, you don't have a lot of continuity. Certainly over the last several weeks, we've established some continuity, particularly on the back end. For example, when we moved Jalen to free safety full-time and acquired Doug and some of that stuff, that began the continuity. And to have that discussion without continuity is not very realistic. And so we certainly have gotten better, but you expect to as a leader, and you also expect it to continue.
Is that continuity a big part of the process to when you guys use more 11 personnel when you don't normally, or when you switched from using a lot of single high to double high safety looks earlier in the season?
You jumped the sides of the ball there. One time you said 11, and then another time you said one high or two high.
Right, I'm saying on either side of the ball, is that continuity help when it comes to trying to make those switches in season when you guys try to establish an identity?
There's a lot of layers to that question. You're stressing me out there. I answered the 11 question. It's week to week, and a lot of it is based on the matchup component of the game, and I gave you an example of last night. Now, what was the defensive component of that question?
Like earlier in the year, we guys used a lot of single high safety to start the year. You switched to a lot more two high safety. I'm just talking about the continuity in helping.
That's very much week to week, based on who we're playing and what they specialize in and what's required for us to minimize certain components of their attack or people.
Does that apply to?
You haven't had a chance to really comb through the tape, but did Dylan Cook play well enough to maybe continue playing in that role even if Andres Pete is healthy?
You know, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. He certainly, I thought, did a nice job of representing himself last night. As I mentioned, though, we helped him schematically, but it is our job to do so. But he was a component of a successful winning outing, and so he deserves congratulations for that, and we'll see what this week holds.
What you were discussing with Chris there, is that the matchup angle that you were discussing? You guys were very good in the middle of the field last night. DK was talking about finding the soft spots in the cover two. Can you still do that against a team like you said with Detroit, who plays more man? You might not have as clear of an idea of what they're doing in the secondary because of their attrition.
It's two totally separate discussions. Miami played a lot of shell. They rolled up their corners, and they played two high safeties a bunch. Detroit does a significant amount less than that. And so we'll do what we need to do to be successful and move the ball this week, and it may dictate that we do things differently.
When Pierre is cleared, does he automatically become your top outside?
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Mike, was Herbig's hamstring, was that aggravation of what he dealt with earlier in the year?
I don't know, to be quite honest with you. We just played last night, and I hadn't had a chance to get a thorough update on some of the details regarding individual injuries and where they are and if they're brand new or re-aggravations of past injuries. I just know he has a hamstring.
Mike, what does it say about Ben Skoron's special teams value that you played a guy listed as a wide receiver on the depth chart with a cast on his hand?
You know, he's a football player first. We've talked a lot about it. He's highly productive. He's a functional tackler. He's a big guy for the space that he plays in. It gives him a matchup advantage, particularly when he's in one-on-one circumstances. And so we're thankful that he's capable and willing, even in less than ideal circumstances. And let's see what he has for us this week.
Asante played every snap a couple weeks ago. He hadn't played a game in 15 months, whatever. Were you watching that? Was that something to watch? And I guess he passed the test conditioning-wise and whatever.
To be honest with you, I wasn't even watching it. He's the type of guy that he's in shape 12 months a year. Most corners are. He displayed that in the short period of time that he's been here in practice settings in terms of taking guard defensive reps and taking defensive reps. And so it was of very little concern to me or to us in terms of his participation last night. And not only that, but he's been an every down player when he was in L.A., and so it wasn't something that was the first time for him or something that was foreign to him.
What have you seen from Adam Thielen when he's not getting targeted, that he's provided value to the team outside of that?
Man, he's excited to be here. He's expressed that. He's a hand-in-the-pile guy. I thought he was very active in the run game last night, for example. You know, you have a lot of ways to impact the game other than touching the football, and certainly his contributions have displayed that in a short period of time.
Anything else?
Aaron praised both him and MVS last week for their detailed work and the timing of getting things done. What does that do for an offense to set a tone for everyone else when you see veteran guys come in and inject that kind of detail?
You know, I just think that's the benefit of veteran guys.
If Sayamalu can't play, does Spencer go right into guard, or does he keep his role doing what he does?
It's early in the process. You know, we did an in-game adjustment last night where we brought Ryan McCullum in, and he did both with a full week to prepare. We may do similar things. We may take a different approach. But larger than that, more important than that, I'm not ready to rule out Isaac at this juncture.
All right.
Great. Thanks.
All right, that's Mike Tomlin with his thoughts about the win last night, and also a look ahead to the Detroit Lions. Formidable test when you consider how productive they've been on offense, averaging 30 points per game. But Missy, again, like every team in the NFL, there's a war of attrition going on. Injuries play a role. What are they this week?
Yeah, well, we saw a lot of guys step up in place of guys who were injured on Monday. We'll get into that. But moving forward, as we start to look towards the Detroit Lions, Isaac Sayamalu hurt his pec in game. Nick Herbig, his hamstring coach, said they should be at least limited. We'll kind of find out more about that. Tomorrow, he said, will be more of a high-intensity walkthrough than a normal practice due to the short week. No update on TJ Watt. I know a lot of people wanted to know about that. And it does sound like Derek Harmon will get to go back to his hometown. He should be able to play, tracking to play with that knee injury. James Pierre is still dealing with his calf. And Andreas Pete is still in the concussion protocol. So all things to monitor as we get ready for week 16. I almost
week
jumped
16.
ahead.
We're
Yes.
already at week 16. It's unbelievable. But I tell you, without Watt and without Harmon last night, the run defense really stood out against a really talented Miami running back named Devon Achane. He was coming in averaging like 140 yards per game, and they limited him as best they could.
Absolutely. And I thought, the Dolphins came out throwing the ball, knowing that the Steelers were going to want to try to stop the run. But, man, that defense, Patrick Queen, just so many guys, Cam Hayward, that you can point to that had big nights and played physical and definitely out-physicaled the Dolphins.
Steelers have had their many tests against really good running backs and running teams. They'll get another this week in Detroit. Maybe one of the best 1-2 punches in the game. We'll talk about that and everything pertaining to the Steelers, who are now 8-6 and in control of the AFC North. That's all coming up as we continue on this Tomlin Tuesday right here live. Thank you for joining us on KDK Plus and Steeler digital platforms.
Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the Terrible Towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com.
You know, it was slow going. They were playing a bunch of shell. You know, they came in, they had a certain amount of pressure percentage that they played, and expected them to play maybe a little more one high. Now last week, you know, Baltimore played a lot of one high, and we hit some shots down the field, so I expected them to play some more shell, but it was a lot of shell. So we had to be efficient, dink and dunk at times, and kind of take what was there, and then we, you know, once we started to run the ball, everything opened up. And the action game opened up and hit a couple keepers, finally converted some third downs, held the football. That drive was a big one after they got the field goal, right, to go up 3-0. We went, and they had the short kick and went 60. You know, for us to keep the ball for the last, you know, 4, whatever it was on the clock, and give no time was good. Then we came out and we got a first down and we scored. So that was good to double up like that. Kept the momentum going. A lot of guys made plays today. You know, would like to get some more opportunities for, obviously for DK, but Kenny had a fantastic game, 26 combined yards. Pat had some nice plays. Marquez had a touchdown. That was awesome. Asante Samuel, you know, had a pick. Junior, I should add, because I played against his dad. So it's kind of what I said after the game. There's some cast-offs if you look at our roster, which makes it really special. You know, Kenny Gainwell signed a next-to-nothing contract. You know, Connor Hayward, an afterthought, had a touchdown run. You know, Marquez been on a couple teams. Adam Thielen got cut. Samuel was on the street for a long time. So it says a lot about the character of the guys we brought in.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about to them.
The crowd at Acrisure is so loud. Wow!
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, TJ!
This defense is swarming.
And it's picked off. Wow! What a catch! Guess who? Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers!
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
You know, I think, first of all, they're talented as individuals. They are. They're talented runners, both guys. They certainly have a different skill set. Gibbs having the top end speed that he does, and Montgomery having the pick and vision and interior running talents that he does. And so they complement each other very well, but it's almost disrespectful to not acknowledge their talents as individuals. And I think any tandem that's really good, I think, has a couple of individuals in it that can do it, and they certainly can and do. They need no endorsement from me. I think they, as a collective, they got 21 rushing touchdowns this year. And so we better come ready.
Every time you play at Detroit, you got to watch out for that dynamic duo there of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They complement each other very well, Missy. But it starts with Gibbs, who is just, as Mike Tomlin just described, a guy who already has 1,100 yards. Yeah. He has 13 rushing touchdowns. Montgomery has 8. He also, Gibbs has 3 as pass receiving touchdowns. So, I mean, he's putting on clips that are unbelievable. They average 30 points a game, and these two are a big reason why.
Oh, absolutely. I think, it's the identity of what this offense has become under Dan Campbell. And it is definitely a fearsome duo and it feels like every week we keep saying, the Steelers are playing another tough team that likes to run the ball. But this one, I think in terms of just what they're able to do, might take the cake in terms of that, not necessarily just stats, but as you said, the amount of touchdowns just between the two of them, the way their offensive line plays. Playing at Ford Field will not be easy by any stretch of the imagination either. And knowing, how their game went last week, I think probably left a taste in their mouth. They know they need to keep getting back into the win column and winning to keep their playoff hopes alive. So we are at the, peak December football where everything and anything matters.
No question. And they are a team that after Pittsburgh, they have two division games coming at them with Minnesota and Chicago. So they can still get into the playoffs, and if so, they'll be a dangerous team because, we talked about the running backs. What about Jared Goff, a quarterback who has 29 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions? He's been around the league. He knows how this works, and he doesn't turn the ball over. But when he does, it normally comes with pressure. And so I wonder how much pressure the Steelers can generate on him and how big of a key that will be.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's also why, as Coach Tomlin was going through the injuries, you're talking about Nick Herbig dealing with a hamstring injury, something not necessarily the same hamstring. Earlier in the season, missed some time. We don't have an update on TJ Watt. These are guys that you want to have when you're playing a team like this and with Jared Goff. But for sure, and it's just, I think their offense is a core group of guys that we've seen reach the playoffs and do big things together in the previous years. So hopefully it's something that Steelers defense can light their hair on fire again as they head to Detroit this weekend.
Yeah, and you talk about skilled people everywhere. Ross St. Brown, over 1,000 yards. You also have Jamison Williams over 1,000 or getting close to 1,000.
Right.
They don't even have Sam Laporta, their big tight end. He's out. If they had him, who knows what this offense can do. We saw it last year. We're seeing it again this year. And what a quarterback battle, too, because Goff, in many ways, is like Aaron Rodgers in his decisiveness and his accuracy when he's in the pocket.
Yeah, it's still funny when you think about, obviously they played the Rams, the trade that was made, how they kind of reinvented themselves going to different places and the success that they've had, and they've both been successful since being able to move. So he definitely is, has that smarts about him as a quarterback, has seen a lot of things, and for the Steelers defense, definitely a tough task.
You mentioned that trade. What a trade for both teams, really, because Matthew Stafford has been outstanding, already won a championship. He could be the MVP of the league. And then this team got Goff, who at the time people said, well, he's on the outside, Rams don't need him. But then he is terrific, and you add 3 picks. Gibbs, I think, Laporta was a draft pick in that deal, and Williams. I mean, that's as good of a deal you can make.
Absolutely, and it was almost like switching places made them each better in terms of, in a better situation for them as well. So hopefully Jared Goff doesn't take care of the ball as well as he has in terms of the Steelers. Hopefully, I think they're still just behind Chicago in terms of takeaways, but we saw it again last night against the Dolphins.
Yeah. One thing about the Steelers, they have not been giving the ball away. And if you do that, you're going to be in a lot of games. That's something that Mike Tomlin has stressed all season long, and you saw it again in play last night. All right, Steelers 8-6, Detroit 8-6. When we come back, we'll talk about the Steelers' big win against Miami and how they did it. All coming up next right here on KDK Plus and your Steeler digital platforms.
Fans are here. Give them something to cheer about to them.
The crowd at Acrisure is so loud. Wow!
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, TJ!
This defense is swarming.
And it's picked off. Wow! What a catch! Guess who? Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers!
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
I don't really know. Obviously we miss TJ, but I think we've had, other guys step up. In the past we haven't really had, Alex, Nick, Jack, to kind of make up that collective. But, it's not a one-man team. It's not a one-man defense. We all got to thrive. We all got to play our best ball in December. And the way I look at it is, we just bought a week off for TJ. I don't know when he's coming back, but, his legs should be feeling good.
Did you tell him you were going to ahead of time, that the celebration, that celebrate exactly like he did?
Yeah, me, Nick, and Alex had talked about it. I don't think I got my leg up high enough, but, we all wanted to shout out TJ.
This is back-to-back wins for you guys. For the first time since you were 4-1, obviously, you want to stack wins throughout the season, but how crucial is it to get back to that as we get to this point in the regular season?
Got to stack them like hotcakes. And, it's in this game, it's very precious to get a win, and we don't take them for granted. Each week we have to prepare for the opponent, and each week, I look at who we have in front of us. It all comes down to stopping the run and running the ball. and we were able to do both today.
Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the Terrible Towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com.
It's not if, it's when, as it pertains to injury in our business. And so if you're in a position like mine, you better work your tail off to ready each and every man that's a part of the program and have that urgency daily. And I certainly do, and we do as a staff. But those are the guys that are deserving of the credit. I'll never ask guys to be patient. I'll ask them to work while they wait. And a lot of guys have done that. And we get performances like many of them displayed. It's just evidence that they have.
I think that's a classic answer by Mike Tomlin, talking about guys he has ready to play when and if they're called upon. And he's not going to ask them to be patient. Just work while you wait. I think that's a good way to look at it. We've seen examples of this throughout the course of this season. Aaron Rodgers called them cast-offs. He's not one of them, but he fits into that same thing. Marquez Valdez-Scantling makes a beautiful play. You could tell the chemistry that was there before he ever got here with Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Even Adam Thielen, you see the energy that he brings, how excited he is to be here, leaving Minnesota, which I think, he probably storybook ending would have finished his career there after spending so much time. But, you even talk about Kenny Gainwell. Aaron talked about him a lot after the game.
Fits into that.
James Pierre, they cut Darius Slay. That was somebody that was a big free agent. They talked about the big three this offseason and training camp and the preseason, and went with some other guys who've really helped. Asante Samuels, we saw what he brought last night, and it's been pretty cool to see. And next man up is another one of those cliches, as Coach said, but it does mean something if you are able to work while you wait. Dylan Cook, another perfect example.
I was just going to bring him up. I mean, that's not easy. He was actually, first of all, you lose Broderick Jones, then Andres Pete has a concussion, so he's forced into play. And while
Calvin Anderson went on IR, so he's technically the fourth left tackle.
One. So, and the thing is, they knew they were giving him some help, but even when he was one-on-one, he did a very good job. On Chubb specifically, every time I was looking to watch what he was doing, he handled himself pretty well.
Absolutely. And, he's been around this program. He's somebody who I think, you could just tell when Aaron Rodgers was talking about him last game when he had to go into the game in Baltimore. He called him Cookie. So you knew that there was a bond there. And it makes sense to have that because you never know who's going to have to go into whatever game and do something to try to protect the quarterback. And we know QBs love their offensive line. But still, I think that's a tight-knit group for how young they are. They have really been able to maneuver pieces when needed due to injuries.
One of the things I really have come to appreciate about Aaron Rodgers is how he knows all of his teammates. He knows about their play. He knows if he should get on them a little bit. He knows about their family history. He's very involved in all of these guys, and you can see how that, I think, takes over in games. When they get in there, they're going to make plays for him because those players know he's a responsible quarterback, but he's also someone who wants to get into their lives and know about them. And I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think, being able to call them out, obviously years and MVPs and a Super Bowl win gives you some clout in terms of that. But wanting guys to be meticulous in practice, the film study, just knowing what to do on every play, because he gets that if everybody is in concert, things work out to their benefit. And as you said, tough love sometimes and whatnot for other guys. So it's been great to see that they're kind of, getting hot at the right time as we're in December. Last night marked Aaron Rodgers' 44th win in December, only behind Tom Brady, who has 71, but still as the most wins as an active player currently with 44.
That pass to Metcalf was as good as you're going to see there.
Yeah.
You're talking about almost no window open. That he threaded the needle, and then the stiff arm was magnificent, I thought.
Yes, it was the Darnell Washington play where it took like the entire Miami Dolphins defense to try to pull him down, and then Metcalf, you were not denying him the opportunity to get back in the end zone.
Well, it was a complete effort. I thought maybe their most complete of the day, and it was sort of a masterclass by Aaron Rodgers, who led the way with a 126 passer or a passer rating overall. I think it was 20 for 24, 2 touchdowns. Again, he doesn't put anyone in harm's way, and the Steelers get a very big win at 28-15. So now it's on to Detroit. 3 games left. We're in week 16 of this NFL season. We'll talk more about what lies ahead right here on KDK Plus and Steeler digital platforms. Don't go away.
Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the Terrible Towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com.
Obviously, me and Aaron have played together for a long time. Obviously, he's been the quarterback that I've been with for half of my career, and we've had a pretty good connection over those 4 years. And it was great to get back in the end zone and catch one from him.
You were pretty wide open on that play. Can you talk a little bit? Were you the first read?
No, so we have been running the ball like maybe 4 or 5 times in a row in that drive, and we went play action. Adam did a good job of inserting and making it look like run, so got the safety to bite up, and then it was a crisscross route by me and DK, and wherever the safety went, I think I got the ball. So that was kind of so whoever popped open is where the ball went.
You've been in the huddle with him when he's at the height of his powers. Do you tap into that a little bit tonight with some of those quick throws?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think he's the best quarterback to ever play this game. So no matter if he's 65 years old or not, like he can still spin the ball, and he's always playing chess with the defense and getting guys into the spots that are going to get him open. And I'm honored to be on this team again.
How much fun is it to be on the field with him when he's kind of on a heater? Like he was on, I think he had 13 consecutive.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was on the team when he won back-to-back MVPs, so just being able to watch him relive those days and still make the same checks that I saw him make 3-4 years ago, and getting guys in the right spots and getting guys open to throw him the ball and get the ball down the field. It's important, and I love to see it.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today.
The crowd at Acrisure is so loud. Wow!
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, TJ!
His defense is swarming.
It is kicked off. Wow! What a catch! Get 2. Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers.
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
Saquon casts a pretty large shadow, but we played that football team, and Kenny made some significant plays in that game against us, converting third downs early in that game that produced scoring drives. I think he converted 3 third downs that transferred to 17 points in the midst of that game. He also covered kicks in that game we played against him. He returns kicks, and so what we saw was a guy that was a football player first, that had a nice skill set to do a lot of things, and had some upside because of the ridiculous shadow that Saquon cast. So I don't know that any of us are surprised by what he's doing or by what he's capable of, because we saw it firsthand in stadium as an opponent.
That's Mike T talking about Kenny G. Gainwell comes to Pittsburgh, and man, you looked at the contract when he signed it. I thought, that's a great value. Now it looks like maybe one of the best bargains in football, just under $2 million. And the way he's contributing, I think a lot of people thought Jaylen Warren, once he got his deal, that he was going to be sort of the bell cow. Kenny Gainwell still makes plays when he gets in there, and he makes it tough. It's a nice two-system back to have.
Yeah, and they're different too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Caleb Johnson is more like Jalen Warren, but it does feel like in this Arthur Smith offense that Kenneth Gainwell is somebody that really fits what Arthur is trying to do. Even going into this game on Monday night, he was the most targeted running back in the league on third downs. He is somebody that they definitely use for vital situations. You see the shiftiness, the way he's able to do things, and it's been consistent. You even go back to the game in Dublin when Jalen Warren wasn't able to play, almost had 100 yards rushing. Last night, I think 13 carries. That was, you know, the highest among the running backs. So it's been interesting to see him evolving in Pittsburgh. You go back to what Coach said about Philly. It reminds me slightly about, you know, how Coach Tomlin saw Alejandro Villanueva on the opposite sideline during a preseason game in Philly and was like, I think we could do something different with him. They obviously saw enough from Kenny in that game against the Eagles and said, hey, he could do something for us too. So it has worked out for both parties, and as Aaron Rodgers has said, he's going to make him some money when it comes time for free agency.
Yeah, Rodgers sounded like his agent, like, okay, I told him you're going to make some money here, or just keep doing what you're doing, and he may very well. The other thing that was money for the Steelers last night was something that we hadn't seen under Mike Tomlin in all these years, 19 years, 3 fourth down conversions in the first half alone. Normally that doesn't happen, but it's a sign of how confident he was, not only in his offensive line, but also that tush-push mentality they have.
Yeah, I like the aggressiveness too, knowing that it felt like no one was scoring at first, and they were trying to be the first to get points on the board. Of course, the Dolphins got that field goal first, but then I think once they got that first touchdown and then it turned into 4 touchdowns, you know, that is something they also have not done in quite some time. I think it goes back to 2017 on 4 straight possessions, but you could just feel that it gave the offense some juice, and everybody started to kind of ride that wave, especially when the defense was able to get the ball back to them so quickly.
And Missy, you told me something coming in here that I did not know. I knew it was rare, but to see 2 tight ends have rushing touchdowns, I guess never before in the history of the game have we seen that.
First time in NFL history. NFL Research had sent out a packet this morning, and that was one of the notes. It is obscure, but you know, it was weird to see the way it worked out in terms of, I think Connor Hayward, Jonnu, you're almost like, okay, but again, to have both of them do that in one game, that is a first. So that could be a trivia question one day.
Yeah, and there's that pass I keep loving to see to Metcalf and what he did after it. But there was no room there, but he threw it with, and that's the thing about Rodgers, his arm strength is still the same. You know, you can talk about mobility. He still can do that a little bit, but that's the one part of his game that I think is kind of eroded, if that's the right word. The rest of it is still there, and they're using it to their advantage.
I mean, even, you know, when he was able to get them with too many guys on the field, that was a very, very quick thing. Whatever the code word was that he said, everybody paid attention, and it worked out. And they even, you know, reviewed it. However, and you were able to see that, yes, indeed, that guy was not off the field yet. No, and just by a few steps, but he rushed it to the line of scrimmage, got it off, and it was a 5-yard penalty, free play. They take advantage of that and get a first down out of it. All right, so next up, it's the Lions. There are only 3 games left in this regular season. It's crazy, isn't it? It doesn't seem possible.
But the Steelers do control this, and you know, still that last game of the year could be the most significant one, but they can also clinch this division ahead of time as well.
How nice would it be to win in Detroit and Cleveland in Week 18 not mean anything?
That's like a bye week then. You can rest the guys you need.
Essentially, you are correct. Yeah, I'll take it.
Only one is available to the top seed in the conference, but you can make that last game kind of insignificant in terms of health and rest guys too. So there's a lot on the line. We'll continue our coverage of the Mike Tomlin press conference here on a Tuesday in Pittsburgh right after this.
Fans are here. Give them something to cheer about today.
The crowd at Acrisure is so loud.
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, TJ!
His defense is swarming.
It is kicked off. Wow, what a catch! Guess who? Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers.
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
Talk in this locker room the last couple weeks about the need to be consistent and the need to stack wins. Just how good did it feel to be able to do that here tonight for the first time since I think week 6 when you guys won 3 straight?
You know, a win always feels good, especially when you're stacking them. So, you know, it was a good look. It was a good look.
I know you guys weren't running very effectively early on, but you guys stuck with it, and eventually the dam kind of broke for you guys. What were you guys doing? Was it just sticking with the thing that you were trying to do early on, or did you guys try to change some things up a little bit?
Yeah, no, just the consistency of things. Just because it doesn't work the first time doesn't mean it won't work the second time. And knowing the players we got in the locker room, we know we were capable of anything.
You guys seem pretty fired up coming off the field too. We were waiting for you guys. Just talk about the feeling you, Kenny, Caleb, and, having after such a dominant performance offensively.
Yeah, Kenny went crazy today. As a brotherhood, the brotherhood we have in our room is like unmatched. And so when you see one of your brothers eat it, it's a great feeling. I'm happy for Kenny.
Is that maybe the most under the weather you've ever played in a game, you think?
Oh, for sure.
Now coming out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any doubts about going out there? Or just...
No, I love the game, so I can feel some illness, but I feel like that's a mental thing at the end of the day.
Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the Terrible Towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com.
All right, just a quick recap of injuries from Coach Tomlin. Unfortunately, not a lot of new news because the game was last night on Monday Night Football, but Isaac Seumalo and Nick Herbig both hurt in that game. Should at least be limited. We'll find out more about them tomorrow. No update on TJ Watt just yet. Coach anticipated later in the week that happening. Good news, though, Derek Harmon is tracking. Thinks he will be back to play against the Lions in Detroit. And then we have Andreas Pete still in concussion protocol. James Pierre still dealing with that calf injury. So it's that time of the season. Hopefully you guys are trending upwards as we get ready for the last 3 games.
And it's Ford Field, tough place to play, but also a very memorable place for the Pittsburgh Steelers and their fans.
And it's indoor.
And it's indoor, yes. Site of Super Bowl 40. That's going to wrap it up for us. Missy, always the best to you. Thank you for joining us here today as viewers of KDK Plus and Steeler digital platforms. We'll do it again next week as the Steelers get set after Detroit for the Cleveland Browns. That's all coming up next week. Have a great weekend, everyone, and happy holidays from all of us here to you. Thank you for joining us.